Guys, Joe here for another episode of Wixo, and this time I'm using a mouse, so hopefully it will be smoother and easier to watch. Now, let's see, where should we start? Oh, well, yes, here's this. I added provinces here of like theirs. And then the red country collapses, don't worry. Yeah, so I added provinces of the red country and some of the green country, but we will finish those later. We can turn them off though. So I can find which one they are. Yeah, there we go. They are turned off. And we can start this here, where the red team will be invading a country to their south. Now, also, if you haven't seen my latest post, YouTube community post, go and see that as it is pretty important. It's hard to control the invasions using a mouse. Anyway, the red country will pour into the dark red one, which I believe rebelled from them in episode 1, and they will take massive chunks of territory going for the major cities, taking them one by one. And the only major cities they have are in their northern part here. There are none in the less explored, less occupied southern part. And soon every one of their major cities falls and the country capitulates, where it receives full annexation from the red team. And this move shocks everybody. However, a small rebellion group against the current government pro-reforming their old country appears here, right on this area that is the border with the yellow team. Red peoples will go pouring in to take over this rebellion group, pushing it back to the unexplored land barriers. However, whilst fighting this area, they accidentally push into that country, causing a state of war to exist between the yellow and red countries. Now, this rebellion group is quickly squashed, and realizing what they've done too late, the red team will pull out of that strip. But it is too late, as the yellow team begins pouring into their fellow country, taking over this territory and protecting that sliver. They'll quickly push into the major cities of the north, and the red team will try and justify it as a misunderstanding, which it was. And soon the two countries will proclaim peace. Now, the only change in this treaty is the loss of two provinces by the red team, being these two close to the red team. Now, this will make it so that sliver thing down there that they had isn't a sliver anymore, and they control all this new territory in Poland and weakening the original country. However, the original country is not really weakened, and they, as a, I'm getting not, I'm not using my mouse because I don't use, anyway, they will start pushing down towards southern Europa through their newly gained land. I'm saying this is why they had invaded the Dark Red team, just to gain new lands, pushing down, taking more lands until their very border extends to this. Now, before they were completely blocked off, however, now they're not from invading their fellow country, and they begin using all this ability to expand. They will push down south, hoping to capture Slovenian territory, which they don't know exists, and they will find the Adriatic Sea. Not realizing the Adriatic Sea has always been a thing, they begin pushing into it. However, it's not good for a country to become very large. Definitely not. So, whilst all of this is happening, the Italian coast will rebel away from the Red government. We also receive a Slovenian country rebel away from the government. And soon we just have a bunch of rebellions away from the government. The next one being this light orange in this strip. Now the rebellions begin to quiet down once they reach this part, and then they stop, leaving this for the Red Team territory, which is still pretty large, but leaving all of their territory down here as new independent countries. Now, the first of these new independent countries, the Italian state, will begin pushing in further into Italy until they run up against the Apennines Mountains. I'm not sure where I'm saying that right. And they also can expand here because they're pushing up against the Alpine Mountains, resulting in these weird borders for them. However, so this is what they currently look like, as well as expanding down further south, hoping to somewhere escape the mountains, which they eventually do. Down here, and are able to skip along the coast, finding Taranto, and doing this until they send an expedition out to Sicily on boat, capturing the end, and then they land in Tunisia. Now, this Tunisian part will immediately separate, not liking the Italian ways of governance, forming the dark gray country and taking Sicily with it. Now that some expansion has happened across the globe, some other things are going to, well, it's not really across the globe, it's in Europe, but we don't talk about that. Some other things are going to be happening, not on the global scale. That wasn't on the global scale either. Red populations will begin soaring towards the south of their provinces as they're encouraging people to move into the formerly dark red country. Now, why is this? It's because they want the people from up here to move down south so that these populations become more red than dark red, allowing for no rebellions to take place, as as the majority of the population would be loyal to the government. This makes a large um city of uppers there and some red people accidentally cross the border into the dark green team and form cities there. However, the dark green team doesn't complain because why would they? It's extra people, extra workforce. However, the dark green team will also be getting their own population burst in the south, not encouraged by people moving there to stop uprisings. And the purple Latvian country, formerly not very populated, will see its own population burst along the coast. However, inland only gains one or two cities. These Swedish people begin having an interest for islands, causing islands controlled by the Swedish to become very populated. And a couple cities also pop up in the Stockholm metropolitan area. In Stockholm, with cities also over there. The yellow team will also be getting some cities of their own, with Denmark getting its first city there, and then some more Danish cities popping up. And these two provinces will also become more populated. Now, down south in the new countries, some new stuff will happen with a city here, city there, city there, city there, with more and more people realizing how cool it would be to live down here where it's not as cold and where there are mountains and cool stuff like that. And Sweden's like, hey, there's mountains here. And everyone's just like, no, we want the Italian mountains. So everyone moves down here to Italy. Sicily gets their mountains. Wait, no, cities. The one here in Tunisia and a couple along the coast. And the orange country will be the least populated of these, only getting one city right in the middle. Next, these new countries are going to be getting capital cities. They have to have them. The Italian country will get them in its oldest city, and it will become the Venetian country. The Slovenian country will get theirs here, and the orange team will get theirs with the only option, whilst this country will get theirs on the southern coast of Sicily. However, Italy will lose their southern territories as a giant hurricane of disease swallows it up, killing everyone. Just kidding. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Italy will lose all their southern territories because they revolt and stuff. Making Italy lose all of their land, which angers Italy. As these people want to explore and claim the mountains, whilst the up northers, as they're being called, don't. Anyway, they will begin until they look like this. And Venice now, they're Venice, these people are Italy now. Venice decides to change their name to Dennis. Just kidding. Venice decides to just live there with their new territory. They don't really want to fight and scratch. Wait. Oh no. Well, yeah, I accidentally added the capitals on the major cities layers for all these other countries, but we can fix that later. Anyway, the Italian country will brave a mission into the mountains which goes great for them. And they are able to squeeze past the mountains and arrive on the other coast, which makes them believe that the mountains are settleable. And so they begin sending more expeditions and claiming even more of the Apennines mountain range until their borders look like this. Their people come up from the south. Well, their people come up from the south, taking these territories until they control Northern Europe. They come up and take so much territory. People from the coast come in, people from this side come in, until they have claimed southern Italy. They also will begin making towards the south. However, this part becomes its own country as a group of people decides to break away from the main Italian government, and the Italians don't stop it. It becomes this big. The Sicilian country will take the rest of Sicily until it owns this. And that will do it for today's episode. Sorry if it was short. Please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers by 2026. And I will see you next time.